Alright, how you going everyone? As most of you guys know that already watch my videos, my name's Tony Harris and I live in the Gold Coast and I'm a professional snake catcher. I also do crocodile snake shows as well as breed and sell snakes for a living. So basically any way I can convert my hobby into my living, I've done so. Been doing it now, coming up this March will be 15 years. The first 8 years I barely survived. Now I'm doing alright, it's pretty good. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I only just watched a video on a bloke that calls himself Bill Flowers. His videos are pretty good, they're very entertaining, he sounds like a smart fellow. From one good looking fellow to another, you know what I'm talking about, eh Bill? You've just got more hair than me, in some spots. Anyway, you've just made a video on some bloke that allegedly fed cats to his snakes and got off on it. You also speak of the differences between feeding live animals versus dead animals. You brought up a few good points, the fact that it stresses out a snake, also that the rat or mouse can turn around and do damage. When you go and spend a couple of $1,000s on a very nice animal, you don't want the rat to grab its eye and tear it out, or I've also seen them grab them on the jaws and take chunks out, which causes canker and other problems. And then there's the moral dilemma, like you said, of the cruelty to animals. Now, as you also mentioned in Australia, we're not allowed to do it, and RSPCA control that. I have a few worries. You see, the gas that they use to put these animals down is a carbon monoxide, which basically starves the animal of oxygen. And when you see the animals gassed, it happens frigging quickly. And there's times when me and mates, because we used to breed rats for, to make a few extra spare bucks, so thousands of rats at a time, we would gas them, and the gas actually heads straight to the ground. It's a very heavy gas, and the rats are on the bottom of this container, therefore they breathe it, and it only takes a couple of seconds before the rats hit the dirt. We have found ourselves by the end of the day of gassing a few thousand rats, we've got the filthiest headaches and we're quite sick ourselves. Then you start to notice the smell of the gas from ages away, and I go to pet shops these days and I'll buy rats. When you open the bag, you can actually smell that frigging gas in it. So I often wonder if these rats take a deep breath and they contain or retain some of the gas in their lungs, and if it works as quickly and as efficiently as it does with a little animal like a rat, I also get concerned about the fact of feeding them to your reptiles and them getting a gut full of it. I actually had a Western Brown which I fed a thawed out rat to, and I have no frigging idea what happened. It was just like I was eating a cane toad. It grabbed this mouse, and the mouse was not too big, started eating it, it got halfway down. Next thing you know, the Western Brown started acting paralysed and actually died with a mouse inside its throat. So I often wonder if that was contributing. So what I do these days is I breed my own rats and mice. And to all you tree-hugging greenies out there that don't like cruelty, which I do understand, close your ears. I knock them out and throw them into my snakes. And the reasons for this is so the snake doesn't lose any bits, because you can imagine a snake, as Bill mentioned, lives to 20 years plus. By the end of 20 years of life of grabbing live and mice and rats, there wouldn't be much left of your snake. So you want it to be nice and healthy till the day it dies. So what I do is I knock them out and I throw them in there and let them do what they have to do. But there's something else you've got to take into account. When you buy frozen rats and mice, after 30 days of being frozen, any pathogens or worms, any concerns that are inside or being carried by this mouse are not going to be passed on to your snake. It can go unnoticed, where a snake will start to get body blisters or something if you haven't wormed your snake for a year or two or more, and you can pass on to your snake through the mice and rats pathogens, worms and stuff. So you've got to keep that into account too. And Bill was mentioning the cruelty and all that stuff, but there's lots of things you've got to think of. Now, a lot of yous might be sitting there going, what are you talking about, Dick? You've done it yourself. Now, I also work in the film industry here in the Gold Coast, and a lot of the documentaries and stuff you see are in fact extremely set up. If you knew how set up, you'd probably fall over. I'm not going to mention the names of them, but I've worked on a lot of them where they're actually made, it's supposedly filmed in Tully Gorge in Queensland, which a lot of it is filmed up there, but a lot of it was also filmed in my backyard in man-made sets. We also drive around the Gold Coast and find certain landscapes to suit, and a lot of the fill-ins and certain scenes that are in the documentaries are filmed here in the Gold Coast. Obviously, you can imagine you spend 4 days to get a shot of a snake doing one thing. and it's here in the Gold Coast, it won't even get used. So in other words, a lot of the scenes you see on TV of snakes grabbing rats and mice are in fact totally set up. They specifically get a certain colour rat or mouse, and it happens a lot. No one ever cries about that because it looks like it's natural. And yet I just recently did a video of one of my coastal taipans knocking down a rat, and the reasons why I did it is so people could see the expediation or the process with the animal's venom doing what it does. And geez, I copped a ribbing about it. Now, it's not commonplace for me to do that with either my monitors or my snakes, because I spend a lot of money and I do care for my animals big time. And I would hate to think that something went wrong with them, which in my time playing with snakes since I was 6 years old, I've seen carpet pythons get their eye sockets ripped out at another bloke's place. With myself, I threw a live rat once to a water python, and got the centre row of teeth. It just bit him underneath there and did so much damage. Water python's still alive, but it did a lot of damage. So you've got to take that into account. Now, let's get back to those cats. Bill, here on the Gold Coast, being a snake catcher, if by chance the police should come across some illegal things going on, for example, people with drug labs or hydro setups in the house or something or other, or all sorts of things. If by chance they're doing a raid on these people and they are found to have reptiles, they are then asked for their permit, and if by chance they're wild animals, I'm called in to confiscate them for prosecution. So National Parks can do what's got to be done with these people. Now, on one particular occasion, it bothered me deeply to go to a rather large diamond python, which was illegal in a guy's garage, and the police called me saying it's eating a guinea pig or something or other, which you see a lot. I went to this job, and when I was focusing on what's going on, I thought, that's not a bloody guinea pig, that's a cat. And that made me a little bit pissed off with the bloke, because I thought, you cruel bugger. Now, when the police were looking for whatever drugs the guy had, they opened the freezer, and he had a big, deep, massive freezer that was filled with kittens. So he'd been doing the rounds free to good home and knocking them on the head and throwing them in the freezer. Now, I was disgusted. My family, being conservationists and animal lovers in every which way, shape and form, were disgusted. And it went to court. And quite often you find that when these people get done for firearms or drugs or stolen cars, whatever it might be, they actually get bigger fines out of the illegal reptiles than they do out of anything else. In this instance, he got his backside kicked for the diamond and whatever else he was doing, but national parks and a few other people, like wildlife associations, were backing the fact that he was going to get his ass kicked for having these kittens in the freezer. And in court, the magistrates turned around and said, what's the difference between cats and rats? You're feeding them one animal or another, and these animals do have to feed in order to survive. What's wrong with the choice of animal that he decided to use? I personally would never ever go near feeding a cat to a snake, because they carry coccidia and all sorts of worms, all sorts of bacteria, all sorts of crap that I would not like to put inside my snake. And you could argue the point saying, well, those kittens were frozen, but still, I mean, I think you're right in what you say about the rats being an intelligent animal, and they also make great pets. And if we were a race that was brought up on nothing but rats as pets rather than cats, we'd probably huff and puff about feeding the rats to snakes, but it just kind of doesn't look right. And I don't know what everyone's opinion is on that. Maybe you should throw a comment in on both Bill's video and mine to let us know what you think. But I was pretty upset, even though personally, like you, I'm not a cat lover, because they do kill so much wildlife. But on the same token, there are plenty of cat lovers out there, and I definitely think that he chose the wrong animal. And the way you said that apparently he was sitting back and getting off, and these live cats being eaten, dude, you yourself have probably seen lately on the news, example, just recently some blokes got hold of a puppy and did something similar to a puppy, tortured it, and they did time. They went to jail for it. So I think that however this guy managed to get these cats in the freezer was very wrong and should probably be treated accordingly. But anyway, champ, I'm happy to hear your comments. Please, throw a comment. And anyone else out there, jump on Bill's video. It's called Cats Being Used as Live Food or something or other, and it's something worth talking about. Speak to you later.